Welcome back, folks, to the lore of legend of Super Robot Tyson. This time we're going to take a look at a series that most people are familiar with because of the dubbing, but unfamiliar because of its humble beginnings. We're going to be talking about Uchuu no Kishi Tekkaman, or Tekkaman the Space Knight. And for those who don't know, Tekkaman is a very old series. And you're probably wondering, why have I pulled out Tekkaman Blade? Very simple. For those who do not know, Tekkaman Blade is a remake of the original Tekkaman. Instead of the Rotom, well, in the original he fought the Waldarians. Tekkaman, the first Tekkaman, fought an alien race known as the Waldarians. While in the remake, he fights an alien force known only as the Rotom. Now, for those who are not familiar with his weapon set, well, allow me to do the following. You see, Tekkaman Blade by himself is powerful, but with Pegasus, he is even more powerful. For those who don't know, the Throw Lancer is really called the Tech Wind. For when he throws his Tech Lancer, he brings it back by using a whip. The whip is called the Tech Wind. So therefore, the Throw Lancer is just him throwing his Tech Lancer, and he uses the Tech Wind to bring it back, which is the whip. So therefore, he uses the whip, to bring it back. As he throws it, you've seen it. The Crash Intrude is basically somewhat similar to Laser's VMAX attack, except that it's basically more at high speeds, whereas somewhere else, in the original series, he didn't. The original Tekkaman did not have Crash Intrude, but he did have Voltekka. And of course, Voltekka is basically a powerful beam attack that basically eradicates enemies. However, the way it was done differently in both Tekkaman and Tekkaman Blade, it was done differently. For instance, Voltekka done by Tekkaman Prime is done quite differently. You see, he uses his head to summon the Voltekka. If you ever played Tatsunoko Fight or Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, it shows that. He uses his head to call for the Voltekka. Whereas Blade, he fires straight from his chest. Even Blaster mode, he fires straight from his chest. From the torso area, I believe. But it's a mighty powerful beam, and it just tears ass right away. The big difference between Tekkaman the Space Knight and Tekkaman Blade is how basically the story itself is. Tekkaman the Space Knight is basically save the universe from space aliens and more than likely take on the monster day, that sort of thing. Whereas Tekkaman Blade had more of a story behind it because the hero known as Takaya Aiba is the amnesiac Takaya Aiba, or as he was called before he got his memory back, D-Boy, holds a grudge against the Rodham for taking away the one thing that meant the most to him, namely his family. Now his family, of course, have been known to be the rival Tekkaman that he's been fighting. Axe, lance, sword, evil, dagger, with the exclusion of rapier. And they're led by Omega. Now the Aiba brothers are, of course, Blade, Evil, and Omega. The only sister is Rapier. The other three, Axe, Sword, oh, I almost forgot about Lance, and Dagger. So there's Axe, Lance, Dagger, Blade, Rapier, Evil, Omega, and I believe Sword. Anyway, moving on. It's basically a family. It was a family thing because the original professor, the professor, which happened to be their father, Kengo, Takuya, and Shinya. They all were doing, I believe, a research project. Something happened and the Rodham got to him. The only one that was saved was Blade, and their father died because of the accident. As for everyone else, everyone else that they knew who were probably on the ship were captured by the Rodham, and therefore minds got warped, and therefore they became the rival Tekkaman. Now in the series, of course, there's a lot of things that I did in the game which actually happened in the series, except for one thing that I broke the series. I said for two characters. One, in the series, Rapier died because she had a very weak heart. Therefore, the only reason why she escaped was so she could find Takuya, share what knowledge she has of the situation, and therefore, right afterward, more than likely, Warner Brother power him up for the battle ahead and die knowing that, she has done her job, he knows the truth, and so forth. Shinya is Takuya or D-Boy's little brother, and namely only wanted to do was beat him. That's all his purpose was. He just wanted to beat him. Nothing more than that. Sad but true. It's like that usual sibling rivalry thing. And then of course the older brother, namely Kengo, basically, I don't know what the fuck happened to him. He basically ended up like Koji from G Gundam. That's all I can say. It's like, well, he is him and he's not him. I mean, he's far too warped to actually be saved, so therefore he had to be killed. The whole series, considering how it was, the original series saved the universe. Tekkaman Blade saved the universe, but at a cost. Because of the tech system having so much power, in the anime of Tekkaman Blade, Blade ended up in a wheelchair. Only the sequel fixed all that. Anime logic did. Therefore, Tekkaman Blade hasn't been played enough into the Super Robot Tyson universe, namely because he's only been in a few games. This is his first game, and well, in the later games, the DS games, he shows up in the later DS games, like W and I believe L. I'm not sure about the later ones, but I'm damn sure he's in the W games. I mean, he's in W to go along with other characters like Mazinger and Gold Lion. The series itself, it's pretty good. It had its range of action, adventure, action science fiction, love, and it told a good story, despite that it was another space, post-apocalyptic space story. It was something like that. I can only imagine that it was something like that, and what you had to reconsider was that Pegasus was different. That's another thing I need to point out. Pegasus was different. The Pegasus in Tekkaman the Space Knight was more like old Tatsujin 28 or Gigantor. Here, Pegasus is more like a bird. But they both did the same thing, in which Blade had to use Pegasus to transform, as well as the protagonist in Tekkaman the Space Knight, George, or Georgie. He basically had to do the same thing. And both probably said the same thing too. Texita! I might be wrong, but at least I got that out. But if you never ran across Tekkaman Blade, you should. They sell the entire series as a whole now, so you don't really have to basically buy 1, 2, and 3. But you can buy the whole series, probably cheap as all hell. And you can also find it on YouTube or Hulu or whatever. Or rather, you can look for it on GoGo Anime or Good Anime. Just letting you know, there are a few sites that actually show the anime as it was with Japanese and English subtitles. The series were done by 2 anime companies, I believe. The original was done by Tatsunoko, and the second series was done by Tatsunoko and Sunrise, I believe. Because it had this, it had that sunrise feel. You know when it's a sunrise, because of how sleek the anime looks and whatnot. Because it's one of the various companies that are akin to making mech anime, or I should say it like this: mechame. I'm gonna call it like that, mechame. So, just because he's a transformable character, it makes him a very powerful unit as far as missions go. He has a 9%. Tekkaman Blade has a 9% chance of evading because he's a very agile unit, and if done so, he can be a very powerful unit if dealt with right. Because, I mean, look at the mobility he has. Plus, if his terrain is like all S's, oh, he's a beast. He's a beast. But as far as everything else is concerned, Tekkaman, the Space Knight, is a legend within its own time, and of course, its later version of itself, Tekkaman Blade, dubbed here as Technoman, is one of the great Mecha Man I've seen so far. But I mean, there are others, but story-wise, action-wise, and whatnot, outside anything else, it's probably similar to SPT Lasner as ways of agility is concerned. I mean, if those two were on opposite ends, boy, we'd have a space version of Dragon Ball Z. But in any case, I hope you have been enlightened by a bit of lore and legend of SRW. I hope you leave some comments or some feedback. Tell me what you think about the series or anything considering your own personal knowledge of the series and or the unit in the games. I almost forgot there's also a Super Nintendo game in which he plays the title role, in which you do, and it's half Street Fighter, half shooter. So there's that. Try it if you want a good challenge. I recommend it. And there's also a Game Boy version of Tekkaman Blade. Again, try it. See if you can beat it or something. I don't know. But please share share some feedback. I don't mind listening to what you guys say. I want to know what you think. So in any case, this has been another episode of The Legend and Lore of Super Robot Tyson. Join me next time in which we take a look at one of the more lighthearted of anime series known only as Full Metal Panic. So, I will see you next time for some FMP.